Moving on the timeline. Back in the composition and on our timeline, you'll see that there's a diamond shape on the left-hand side of each of the parameters. This will only show up when we have our stopwatch set to on. The arrows on the side allow us to jump between the keyframes we have in our timeline, and the icon will turn blue if that keyframe is selected. If it's gray and we click on it, a new keyframe will be added where our time indicator is placed. Another way to move and snap to a keyframe is by holding the Shift key while moving our time indicator on the timeline. If we do this, you'll see the indicator snaps to the next closest keyframe. This works for visible keyframes, as well as moving quickly to the beginning or ends of layers on the timeline. We can also scroll up and down our timeline using our keyboard. The problem is that the shortcuts vary depending on the type of keyboard, either for Mac or PC. For PC and Mac, keyboards that have page up and page down keys will move one frame up or down by pressing them. And if we press Shift plus one of these keys, we'll move in increments of 10 keyframes on our timeline. For Mac users that don't have the page up or page down keys, you can press Function plus the up or down arrows on your keyboard to move through the timeline. Adding Shift will also allow you to move by increments of 10 keyframes at a time. Finally, if we want to jump to a specific point in time, we can quickly do so by pressing Option or Alt plus Shift plus J. A window pop-up will appear where you can add the time you'd like to jump to. Types of keyframes. After Effects has different types of keyframes, and they are identifiable by their shapes on the timeline, and each of them has a different function. Linear keyframes. These are our base keyframes that have a basic interpolation between them and go directly from one value to the next. We can visibly see that the interpolation is constant by looking at the dots between the nodes in our path that are equal distances from each other. Bezier keyframes. These keyframes are used to smooth the movement in and out of a keyframe to the next one. As the name suggests, it creates a Bezier curve, but if we look at our path, you'll see our nodes have not changed. This is because the Bezier curve is only visible in our graph editor view. Bezier paths have three different variants: Easy Ease In, Easy Ease Out, and Easy Ease. Easy Ease In. Movement has slower incoming velocity and a constant outgoing velocity. Easy Ease Out. Movement has a constant incoming velocity and a slower outgoing velocity. Easy Ease. Movement will have smooth incoming and outgoing velocities. If we look at our path, we can visually see that the dots between nodes change when we add these keyframes, indicating that it takes more time to move from the starting position to go full speed. To access them, you can select the keyframe or keyframes you want to change to Bezier keyframes, then right-click over them and select Keyframe Assist, and choose the type of Easy Ease keyframe that you want. You can also do this using the shortcuts: Easy Ease In, Shift and F9. Easy Ease Out, Command-Control, Shift plus F9. Easy Ease, F9. Note: on Mac, these shortcuts might not work, as they depend on the mode that you have assigned to the top function bar on your keyboard. This will either be the standard function keys or default function keys. Auto Bezier keyframes. These keyframes auto-smooth the curves of the velocity between nodes. This is not commonly used as we don't have a lot of control over the behavior, and as you can see on our graph editor, the difference is too minimal to be noticeable. You can choose these keyframes by pressing Command or Control and clicking over the keyframes on your timeline, and you can do the same to turn them back into linear keyframes. Hold keyframes. These keyframes are used to stop the interpolation at the current value. If we have any keyframes after this one, we'll see that once it reaches them on the timeline, it will continue animating depending on the type of keyframe that you have after that. Hold keyframes have two distinctive shapes depending on the type of keyframe chosen. These will either be linear or Bezier keyframes. To create hold keyframes, we can right-click over the selected keyframes and select Toggle Hold Keyframe from the menu. To revert back, just select the same option again, or Command-Control and click on the keyframes. Rove Across Time keyframes. These keyframes are used when we have a lot of keyframes for a layer, but the animation has no consistent interpolation between each of the nodes, making the object move at different speeds between them. By selecting all these keyframes and right-clicking over them, we can choose the Rove Across Time option. This will make the first and last keyframes of our selection stay visually normal, and the ones in between them will become small dots. They will now be rearranged in the timeline to have a consistent interpolation between each of them. If we move the first or last keyframe, you'll see that the one in the middle adjusts accordingly to keep the interpolation constant. To remove this, just right-click and deactivate the option by selecting the keyframes you want to return to normal. As a note, keyframes will stay at the current place they are when removing the Roving Across Time option. Just remember that Rove Across Time keyframes are only available for position keyframes.